Have you ever walked out of an interview and thought, man, I nailed that, but you never heard back? Well, today we're going to flip the script because we're going to give you 3 powerful questions that will impress the interviewer as well as tell you whether that's a school you want to be in or not. Buckle up. We're starting right now. Hey everybody, Gordon Amerson, Superintendent of Schools. And on this channel, we take my experience from classroom teacher to school district superintendent to help you write better resumes, write better cover letters, interview like an absolute rock star, all things education and educational leadership. We leverage Clifton strengths and all that kind of good stuff. So if this is your first time with us, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as the bell notification so you don't miss any cool updates or any of our newest episodes. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about a powerful strategy that a lot of times candidates forget about. The power of asking a question at the end of the interview, but something that is meaningful, because when you leave, you want that panel to think about you. You want them to remember your name. And by asking something that's powerful, that helps them think and helps them show how prepared you are, how insightful you are, and how committed you are to knowing and understanding who that school community is a powerful way to do that. So we're going to jump right in with question number 1. Question number 1 that you should ask at the end of an interview. Can you share a little bit more about the professional development opportunities available to teachers at this school site? It's a powerful question because it's very open-ended and it can go in a number of different directions, but it will tell you, very frankly, what that school is focused on. So if the response is a lot of things around technology advancements, a lot of things around teacher pedagogy, a lot of things about collaborative learning, a lot of things about teaming and flipped classroom and competency-based learning, all these different things will give you a roadmap to what the school values. And more importantly, what the school's principal's vision is for the future. And so as you learn these things, then you can ask additional follow-up questions. So if there is a focus on collaborative teaching practices and trying to build cohesion and coherence across a grade level or across a department, you can then follow up with a question around how has teaching and learning or teaching practices or student performance and outcomes changed as a result of these professional development initiatives? What this is doing is this is putting in their minds just how committed you are to understanding those professional development initiatives and then adding value to that. So when you delve into these questions, be thinking about how you can add value, even in responding to the questions, but then also processing and thinking about if and when you get the call to join that staff, how you will significantly contribute to their professional development, growth, and learning. So that's question number 1. How or what are those professional development initiatives that are available to teachers? It's a powerful question and it will invoke some really, really great conversations between you and the interview panel. Okay, question number 2. How does the school support a collaborative and positive working environment amongst the staff? This is an important question. The reason this question is so important is because it is all about the culture and the environment that you, as a staff member who will be joining the staff, will spend 6, 7, 8, sometimes 10 hours within, in and around. And so we have a vested interest as candidates who want to come into a school or want to come into an organization. We have a vested interest in wanting to be in a positive environment. And so you want to be able to ask that hiring committee, who quite frankly will be representatives of the school's leadership, whether it be the principal, assistant principal, department chairs, grade level leads. These are folks who are highly invested, highly committed, have probably been there for some time, and have a vested interest in the culture and the climate of the school. And so you'll want to ask them and have them articulate to you how important that is, because at the end of the day, a positive, collaborative working environment invokes job satisfaction. It invokes high levels of commitment, high levels of employee engagement, team engagement. It's somewhere that when we know we're in a positive environment, it's somewhere that we know we would want to invest in. it's somewhere we know we'd want to spend more time in, right? And so thinking about being an outsider who wants to come in and join this organization, you want to really understand how that's being supported. What types of initiatives does the principal have? What types of initiatives does the grade level or department chair have to make sure that we foster that collaborative work environment? Because we spend so much time in and around campuses, in and around colleagues, that you really want to be able to get at that. And again, these questions are not only about impressing the interviewers, but it's also about you finding the right fit. Never, ever, ever forget that when you interview, they're not just interviewing you. You are also interviewing them. You are going to spend significant amounts of time and significant amounts of your life and your time, your energy, your money, your emotion, your sweat equity, physically, emotionally. You want to make sure that's a good fit. And so asking these questions are not only about impressing them, but also making sure that this is a place that you can thrive, that you can excel. So that positive collaborative working environment question is critical to that. So ask that question and then listen deeply and critically to the responses that you get to figure out if this is a place that you can thrive and that you can see yourself for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. That's what it's really about. So don't forget, question number 2 is really, really important. Question number 3. What is the school's approach to parent-teacher communication and community engagement? And this is an important piece because our schools are so interconnected, and we have to see our parents as well as our community as partners in the process. The school is no longer just the 4 walls of the classroom and not even necessarily the 4 corners of the school campus anymore. There's a lot of integration. There's lots of partnerships, and there's lots of different ways where there's interaction and there's interconnectivity, and there's lots of symbiotic connections that exist between the school, our parents, as well as our community organizations. And so figuring out a way to foster these positive interactions between parents and teachers, and then also the community as well, it's going to be really important. So asking that question also clarifies some expectations about how communication happens, how communication flows. And when I think about this, I immediately think, what's the expectation in most cases for how fast you will respond to a parent when a parent either calls or emails you related to a question about their student? And I've always subscribed to it's a reasonable expectation that we would return a phone call, return an email within 48 hours of reaching out. Let me explain why 48 hours, because some people might think maybe that's a little bit slow, but just hear me out for a second. If you receive an email during the course of the day, there is zero, let me just say bluntly and clearly, there is zero expectation that you would respond to a parent's email in the middle of the instructional day. Now, if for some reason you have already had, or you haven't had your conference period or your prep time, then maybe you might be able to get to that parent's email and respond to that parent's email during the course of that prep time. But not likely, because if you're using that prep time appropriately, you would be using that prep time to advance your professional practice, your lesson planning, your unit designing, you're getting materials prepped for your next day of instruction, you're collaborating with a colleague, so on and so forth. Now, if it is something that is earth-shattering, if something that is very, very time sensitive, it's something that's a significant challenge, then you will obviously, as a professional, you'll adjust accordingly. But the reality is, if you don't get to it into that day, and then depending on the complexity of the matter, you need to then investigate, gather data, gather information, reach out to a colleague, consult with the principal, consult with the counselor, consult with the school psychologist, depending on what the complexity of the topic or the issue is, then you might need an additional day to gather all that information. And then again, before that 48 hours has expired, you would then follow up with the parent. Now, that has been my standard. That is what I use as a classroom teacher. That's what I supported teachers with as an assistant principal and as a principal. But the reason that I'm saying that you have to ask this as a question is because that may not be the standard with other places, and better to know and understand what the expectations are at the onset. Additionally, what are the expectations for engaging with the community? How involved is the community in and around and on the campus? Knowing what those are then gives you, again, another chance to figure out, how do I fit? How do I connect to this? And is this the right space and the right place for me? Based on knowing and understanding what those expectations are. I see far, far too often that folks will not ask these types of questions before coming in the door, and then they end up kind of running into some friction and some challenges because those unclear expectations now become clear, and they're not aligned with who you are or what your prior experience has been or what your prior commitments have been. And so now there is this misaligned priorities, these misaligned values. And why not do yourself a favor and also do the organization a favor by asking these types of questions in advance? So now everybody's on the same page. To be clear is to be kind. To be clear is to be connected and committed. So if you ask these questions beforehand, better chances that you know where you're going, know where you're headed, and the interview panel knows who they're getting. And there is a nice alignment and a nice synergy that will then be able to move you forward. But remembering to ask the question and really think critically and listen critically to the answer around what are those expectations around communication with parents and community, and how do we engage the community, and how impactful and how present and evident will they be on the campus. Thinking about how you align and how you connect with that is essential for your success. All right, so there you have it. 3 powerful questions that you can ask at the end of the interview. And don't forget, asking these questions is a great way to impress the interview panel, but also to figure out, is this place a good fit for you? Remember, you are not only the interviewee, but you're also the interviewer. You are interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you. If you're going to make a commitment for 10, 15, 20, 30 years of your life, delve into these questions. Ask these questions, get these insights. They're going to be really, really important pieces for you to know and understand. So if you got some value out of today's episode, give us a thumbs up, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share with a friend, share it with 10 friends. We're on a mission. We want to help to mentor, identify, and support as many education and education leaders as possible. And don't forget to check the description below for more information on coaching and resources and Clifton Strengths and all things education and educational leadership. We're super excited to continue to add value to this. And until we see you on the next one, we want you to be well, take care of each other, and we'll see you real soon. Thanks, everyone.